It is a special edition of the Adam Gold Show After Hours, Adam Gold Show After Dark. This is where we will Jones out on the Premier League. I don't know, maybe the Ryder Cup over time. That is my friend Jai Kumar, who is responsible for making me an annoying soccer fan. I am not saying that he is an annoying soccer fan. I'm just saying that I am, and it's Jay's fault. So, are you ready to get into the season? Do you feel good before we get into picks and anything? Do you feel good about your side?
I do. I figured, in true spirit, I decided to wear my ACC shirt.
Oh, geez.
Just as we think
Yeah.
about really important, powerful leagues. Figured if we're going to talk about the Premier League, let's do it.
All right, that's good. I did a Canes Corner podcast, and I was wearing my ACC Digital Network shirt, and Corey Lavalette thought that would be a vintage retro item after time. You know what? I can't even. It's another topic for another day.
Fun fact: this shirt was given to me by the SWAF at the ACC soccer tournament when I worked in my prior life when I was a YMCA director. We took our kids to the soccer tournament at SAS Soccer Park.
Very
and
nice.
We were doing some stuff with him, and he's like, "Do you want some swag?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I figured it's fitting.
John Swafford. All right, he got out when the getting was good. All right, before we get to the Premier League, and we're going to spend I don't know, maybe 30 minutes previewing the Premier League. Real quick, for the first time in the history of the Women's World Cup, the United States bounced in the round of 16. They had made it to at least the semifinals in every other event. It 4 wins, another loss in the final, right? And 2 other. I mean, it was just incredible run. But they didn't bring the best team they've ever brought to a World Cup, and they paid for it. Quick thoughts on what we saw from the red, white, and blue down under.
Yeah, disappointing, but not surprising with the way they were looking leading into the tournament. I think some of the questions in the attack in the final third were kind of up there from all of the qualifying, and kind of coming into that tournament, they were not generating enough threat to kind of make their way through the tournament, and that showed up when they got to Australia and New Zealand. And so I think the team is in transition, and the squad reflected that. I think if we think was 08 was the U.S. basketball team that lost. A lot of parallels there. Is it 12? Not in Beijing. It was after Beijing, so not 08. But that kind of U.S. basketball, that U.S. basketball arc, I think, is a really similar trend for this women's national team. Ton of legends, ton of stars, and you kind of figured you could roll the ball out and you'd be fine.
Right.
And instead, they weren't ready. They didn't really show up with the right squad. They kind of rested on some names that were a little bit not ready or no longer at the level required. And I heard somebody else say this, but the rest of the world, this is their game. And so they are going to invest in a way that we currently aren't. And our head start is now everyone's now at the same starting line. And so we either need to redevelop or rethink about how we approach our entire soccer program, from the women's team to the men's team and our development system, or we need to be comfortable with the women's team being one of the teams in the mix, not the absolute out and out favorite.
Well, I don't think any of that is incorrect. So this is not really an argument. I do think that to me, circumstances really have us in this particular spot. No Becky Sauerbrunn means that Vlatko Andonovski didn't trust anybody else, so he put Julie Ertz out of position playing center back. She's supposed to be a defensive mid. No, was it Mallory Swanson is out? No, Katerina Macario is not there. Sam Mewis, 4 starters Four of their
Yeah.
starting field play of their 10 starters in the field, no question about it, weren't there. So therefore, you've got a whole bunch of people out of position, or in roles they probably shouldn't be, which put too much pressure on Sophia Smith, who was good in the first game and not great after that. Trinity Rodman, who probably played her best half of the World Cup in the loss to Sweden. And she was removed for Lynn Williams, who was also very good but didn't dent the net. So there were a lot of just roster. The squad just wasn't as good as it needed to be, and I think it showed. But also, Vlatko knew he could sub, right? I mean, one sub in the draw with the Netherlands. Just Rose Lavelle, who came on at halftime, didn't make any other changes. And how much she's an absolute legend, one of the all-timers, but the 55 minutes that Megan Rapinoe played against Sweden, forget about the penalty she missed. The 55 minutes she was on the field, just awful. And I felt bad for her.
It was tough.
I personally think that was a planned put on, that was the plan all along, that Alex Morgan was going to play like the first 65 minutes and he was going to bring on Megan Rapinoe for her. Now,
if you look at that bench, there's not much there. I mean, beyond Lynn's a solid player, and without Rose Lavelle, there's nothing else on that bench. And so they were playing with one hand tied behind their back. If that 11 wasn't going to get a goal in the first 45 to 60 minutes, it was going to be a 0-0 and hope for penalties. I mean, that's how this team was going to get through this tournament. You saw that after Vietnam. I mean, that's a team that typically 4 years ago, they won 13-0 against Thailand. And people were commenting about, was that sporting? Yeah, absolutely, it's sporting. It's a World Cup. Like, what are you talking about? Like, win 20-0 if you can. But like, I think that this team at that juncture knew, and they knew themselves, that this was going to be a slog. And I don't know if they're equipped mentally to go through and grind a tournament out in that manner, because no U.S. women's team has ever had to do that.
I think they tried to talk themselves into it, and it didn't work. And they still should have won the match. They were better than Sweden, and they should have won in penalties. Megan, Sophia Smith, I mean, just sailed. I mean, wow. And then Kelly O'Hara overthought it and just chipped it off the post. They should have won. They should have won the match. And who knows what happens if they get that. But it would have really just masked the overall problem of that team. And truthfully, it would have been Japan, right?
Yeah, who looked like the best team in the tournament.
Absolutely. And no offense. This is not a no offense, but I picked Japan to win before the event started. Plus 3,300, by the way.
It's good odds. It's solid.
Oh my gosh! All right, let's get to what we set out here to do. So let's start. I will let you go first. And by the way, at the end of this, we're going to make our picks, and not pictured my soon-to-be 15-year-old son Jack, who is also responsible for me being a soccer fan. He has his picks, and he's going to join us from time to time when he's not asleep because he has to get up too early for school. All right, give me your top four, and then we'll go through it.
All right. This is one of those years where I think it's as open as it's been in a long time, but I think the top four is pretty clear, and then it gets a little murky, and then it gets even murkier, and then I think the bottom half of the table is pretty clear. But at the top, I think it's very similar to last year. You got Arsenal, City, United, and Liverpool.
In that order?
No, I think Liverpool finished third. United are fourth. I have Arsenal finishing first. That is a mix of unabashed homerism, I will 100% admit. And I think City are just slightly weaker than they were last year. It's hard to lose your captain and kind of that talisman that scored those big goals in those moments that they needed him to score, and replace him with Kovacic.
Yeah.
And then I think that Pep is still incredible, and I think that they are still the team to beat.
Yes.
But if we don't want to turn into the Bundesliga where it's a one-team league, we got to have somebody else win it. So I think from the Premier League's perspective, they need somebody else to win it. And I think Liverpool have a really good shot if they can figure out their midfield. I think it's going to be a 3-horse race this year. But at the end of the day, I think that where Arsenal fell off at last year were key injuries to key players in the central midfield and in the defense. And if you look at where they strengthened, they added arguably the best available midfielder in the Premier League in Declan Rice. And then in Yuri Timber, I think they've added an elite, versatile defender that can cover multiple positions. He's been playing left back for Zinchenko.
Yeah.
He was a right back and center back at Ajax. If Saliba is out, you can move Ben White to center back, play Timber at right back. If Zinchenko's out, you can play him there. I think they've addressed and raised their floor, because I do think their starting 11 last year was good enough to play with anybody. But when that starting 11 wasn't available, they kind of fell off, and that they've addressed that kind of deficiency gives them a little bit more steel to go through it. That said, being in the Champions League for the first time in a long time is going to test their squad depth, but I do think they've got enough, and I think they are hungry after what happened last year.
Yeah, you'll have more depth if you continue to refuse to sell Fuller and Balogun. As Greg Berhalter has probably said, let my striker go. By the way, all those guys are going to end up in Milan, right? Way is at Inter, right?
Inter, yeah. Inter's put in a bid. Monaco wants him. So I think we have a lot of work to do in terms of outgoings, but as a squad overall, I think they're in good shape. But City are still so deep, so it'll be hard.
You've got Arsenal 1, City 2, Liverpool 3, and you have United 4, correct?
Manchester United.
Yes, that's who I call United.
Not the new Saudi United.
Right. I just call them Newcastle. So here's the funny part is that our top 3 are the same. Because I also have Arsenal winning for 2 reasons. One, at some point, like, remember all the you guys, Arsenal had all those injuries, right? Jesus missed so much time. Saliba toward the end of the season missed, and he was probably the most critical piece that you could not afford to lose last year, and you lost him. It put too much pressure on Gabriel in the back, and Ben White really couldn't play all the time. You tried to use all the other guys you tried to use that were just a disaster. But Liverpool also was decimated by injuries. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain started at forward one game. I mean, it was that bad. And he was just a squad guy. City had none of those injuries last year. None of them. The closest thing they had to a significant injury was De Bruyne, who was, he had a knock here and there. Basically, they stayed healthy. And they probably have the best striker in Haaland, the best attacking mid in De Bruyne. I think they do have the best striker, the best attacking mid, the best defensive mid in Rodri, and then Ruben Diaz, the best center back on planet Earth. And so their spine is amazing. But part of me just can't work out that way again. So for that reason, I think that City goes through has a couple of rough patches, and I think Arsenal's the deepest team with talent in the entire league. I think their roster, top to bottom, is the best, and I think Arsenal will finish first. I have Liverpool third, but my difference with you is that I think the top 2 separate from the next 5 or 6. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of difference between. I have Liverpool 3. I don't think there's a lot of difference between Liverpool and whoever's going to finish 8th or 9th. I don't think there's more than 8 points gap between 3 and 8 or 9. I think there's going to be some teams that miss out on Europe that I think are pretty doggone good. My son has City 1, Arsenal 2, Liverpool 3, and United 4. My
Who's your
fourth,
fourth?
though, Chelsea.
All right. I think
Although,
they've got something there. I think it's a matter of can they actually put it together this quickly,
yeah,
and who is their attacking mid. And Nkunku's out for a while.
yeah.
He's just had knee surgery.
Well, they're
They've
going to buy
got
everybody now. They've
right.
got 2-3 more weeks in the window. They're just going to keep buying. That's all
But
they do.
I think the thing with City too is you've got a question. They've added Vardiol in the center of their defense,
Yeah.
who is a stud. But the rest of that team, you just want everything you could possibly win.
Yep.
How do you maintain the hunger?
Tough.
That's it's a kind of a cop out excuse for not winning because when you're getting paid what $400,000 a week, you're going to play.
Yeah.
But I
True.
think it's a factor, and I think there's just more question marks around City than there ever been in Guardiola's time, and so it'll be interesting to see how he manages and motivates that team. But if there is a manager that can figure it out,
Yeah.
it's him.
He's
So
the best.
it'll be they're still the ones to beat.
Oh, I totally agree. And they're minus money, I believe, to win the league, which I guess
Yeah.
is not that surprising.
Sure.
But look, Gvardiol is going to end up playing left back, I think, for them. I really do. I think he's going to end up playing left back.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah.
And City's going to play, if they play 3 in the back, they'll have Diaz, Akanji or Ake, and then Gvardiol, because Stones is now playing in the middle of the park. I'm sure Pep will reinvent them at some point anyway. But yeah, they're loaded. I mean, Julian Alvarez barely played last year, but they're without. I'm blanking on all the players they just lost. But Cancelo is going to be gone. Mahrez, who scored so many big goals for them, and no Ilkay Gundogan. I think Kovacic will be good, but Gundogan was a goal machine when they needed it. We'll go back 2 years, not even this past year, but 2 years. Gundogan scores twice in like 5 minutes, 8 minutes, as they go from 2-0 down to 3-2 ahead of West Ham on the final day, and to stay in front of Liverpool. Liverpool, they were in line for a quad. They get to the Champions League final, lose to Real 1-0. They beat Chelsea in both the EFL Cup and the FA Cup in penalties. One of the many 0-0 draws that those two teams have played the last 2 years. 4 in a row, by the way, for them. We'll get to picks in a little bit.
6 draws in a row.
6 draws in a row, yes, and four straight 0-0 draws. My gosh, that will not happen this time. There will be goals scored when they meet on Sunday, and then they lose on the last day. I mean, so they were that close to 3 or 4. And it kind of felt empty that they only won 2, but they had an amazing year. Anyway, so without Gundogan, who scored twice there, and without Mahrez, who scored so many big goals, it's just and I'm waiting for the Erling Haaland bump and bruise that typically has dotted his career. Maybe he's over. I don't want him to miss time, but they didn't miss anybody last year, so at some point that has to flip. Who else do you like for European spots?
So in my European spots, I've got for the Europa League, I think here's my kind of sleeper pick that I think is going to do real well. I don't know if you even call them a sleeper anymore, but Brighton. I don't think that moving into Europe this year is going to slow them down because they've actually strengthened and their recruitment is the best in the league. They find talent over and over and over again, and it's like we were linked to a player, and then 2 weeks later, Brighton signed him, and it means, God, we should have signed him. Like now they're going to be twice as much in next summer. Like, why didn't we just sign him?
Right.
And so it is incredible. I think Brighton, Chelsea, and Spurs are going to fight for those 3 remaining European slots between the Europa League and the Conference League. And then Newcastle, who were kind of coming up, I think they're going to find it a little bit harder this year. They're not going to have the benefit of the doubt, I think, that some teams kind of sat back on.
Right.
And I think that they're going to have a little bit of a coming down party this year, and we'll finish 8th. Still be a good year, but as you noted, I think that cluster of teams from 4 to 8, you could throw them in a hat and pull them out and say, this is the order, and that might be the order.
Yeah.
Um, I think that it could go anyway, but those are my European and Conference League spots in terms of the teams that I think have good squads but notable flaws, but have an intriguing blend of talent and coaching to get them to Europe.
My son Jack had Newcastle 5, Brighton 6, Fulham 7.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I personally, Jack. I think he's drinking, but Fulham's has not had an amazing summer, and Willian, who is still a very good player, is out. I think he's headed to Saudi. I've got United 5. I've got Aston Villa 6, and I have Brighton 7. So it brings us to something that we were going to talk about, because I think Newcastle is going to struggle a little bit this year, and maybe they finish 8th. But when you go from 4th to finishing out of Europe, I mean, it's a little bit of a surprise. But consider this: they went, 18 straight matches without a loss in the middle of the season last year, and they built up so much of a nest egg that at the end of the season, they weren't playing as well. Now, they played well the last month, and they kept Liverpool, who was winning just about every match. They kept Liverpool at bay. But that I don't know what it was. I mean, but 18 matches in a row without a loss. I mean, that was just stunning. And they weren't even allowing goals. They had so many clean sheets. Defensively, they were really good.
Great. Yeah, I think their defense is great. Yeah. The issue is they brought in 3 players: Harvey Barnes, Sandro Tonali, and then a kid, Minte, who I know nothing about, I'll be honest. But Tonali, Barnes, good players. I think they are solid, but they lost Alan Saint-Maximin. They've lost Matty Longstaff. I just don't think they have the depth to manage Champions League and the Premier League this year.
I agree.
What I will say that I think they may have a dip this year, but what's been interesting is they've been kind of building their squad on both ends, and what nobody is talking about is what they're doing in their academy. And they have been actively bringing in tons of talent into that academy, so that as this first team that they hope to get as much out of starts needing replenishments in a few years, those 15, 16, 17-year-olds they're bringing up are going to meet in the middle, and they're building the right way, which is frustrating given where their money is coming from. But I think in a few years, they're going to be a mainstay, and they're not just going flash in the pan signings. They're trying to build through a system, but that is going to come with growing pains. I just don't think they're going to do that well this year, just because I don't think they've ever managed this many competitions at the same time, and their squad isn't deep enough to do it.
Isn't it kind of amazing? We all expected Newcastle, Public Investment Fund, unlimited dollars. We all expected them to just throw money all over the place. They haven't done it. Yeah. I don't know whether to be impressed or to worry what's lurking under the surface, because it's been impressive that they haven't done that. I know there are rules that say you can't.
Well, no, I mean, for them, because of how much money they sold, they actually have this really unique window where they could just throw money into it. But if we want to talk and have an honest conversation about what they're doing, it's beautiful sports washing. They're making you forget about what they're doing. And it's like, look at this way of doing it the right way. And it's intentional. It is intentional that they are focusing on, and this is they're focusing on bringing in English talent that can connect with their Gordy fan base
Yeah.
and feel like an authentic Newcastle team, so that there is trust and loyalty to that ownership group that allows them the cover to do whatever the hell else they want. And so, if you want to know how sports washing could be done well, don't look at what Qatar did in the World Cup. Look at what Newcastle are doing right now. This is the playbook. And so
Well,
it's not surprising if you actually understand why the Saudis bought Newcastle. It wasn't to win right away, it's to gain influence.
well,
Winning
that's
is
the entire
secondary.
thing. Uh, look, sports washing is, I mean, it's a real thing,
Yeah,
right? But I think there is an economic reason, not to get into the public investment fund and the live golf discussion,
sure.
uh, but there is an economic driver for the Saudi Arabian royal family, that they realize that the oil economy is not going to be around forever, and
Absolutely.
they have, their investments are terrible. The PIF investing in the United States, whether it was in sports or otherwise, lost $11 billion last year. That's poor invest. It's hard to have that much money and lose money in investments. It really is difficult. But
Right.
they're not concerned with a return on investment. What they want is, as you said before, they simply want influence in the global marketplace, because when you have $700 billion in the public investment fund, which I think I saw was the last total,
Sure.
you
You
can't
don't
lose
need
it.
it for. Yeah,
You can't lose it. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't, if you lose 20 billion, who cares? But which is why they can throw all this money at all these, for the most part, aging football stars to go over and play in total anonymity in Saudi Arabia. I mean,
yep.
bless Kareem Benzema's heart, who had a little bit of good football left in him, and all these guys. The most
They're good
confusing for
players.
me, N'Golo Kante, what are you doing? You I would take him at Liverpool yesterday.
I don't think he's got much
Yesterday.
left in the tank. He looked a little bit
Real.
washed, but
Well, he was hurt all
he's
last year.
still yeah. I still think it's just so much goodwill he's thrown away. But I mean, at that
I
point,
can't even.
also, hey, get your bag, I guess. So
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't mind Jordan Henderson. Go get it, man. You're gonna make like close to 50 million euros over the next 3 years. Go get it, or whatever he's gonna make this year. It might be
right,
50 million euros this year. I mean, honestly, Benzema. If Benzema were an EPL team, he would rank fourth in total wages. By
ridiculous.
himself, Kareem
Yeah,
Benzema will earn more than Liverpool's entire squad this year. That is not a joke. That is not a lie. That is a fact. And nobody will see him play. They don't
yeah,
play in Europe. I mean, the only time we'd have an opportunity is what, in the Club World Cup.
maybe. I don't know. They'd have to win. I don't know what the new format is, but
No
next
clue.
summer there'll be somebody. So we'll see.
Yeah,
We will see.
no idea. All right, so you and I both are. I think I'm going to say our surprise teams were the same in that Newcastle does not make Europe. Do you
Yeah.
have a surprise that you think will do better than most people think?
I think Burnley, as a
Yeah.
promoted team, are going to do really well. I think Vincent Kompany's their manager. He is molded by Pep. He's got that
Yep.
city possession based style, Belgium attacking talent. They waltzed their way through the championship last year and have done a nice job kind of strengthening their side with the type of players he wants. No huge buys, but a lot of guys that have played big level at, Mönchengladbach or City Youth Academy players that can slot into what he wants to do. I think they'll be easily safe. I don't think they need to worry about relegation, and then they'll be able to build on it. I think people are used to Sean Dyche Burnley. which was dour and negative football. Um, kind of that cold, rainy night in Stoke vibe, but it was a cold, rainy night in Burnley. But the new Vincent Company Burnley were scoring for fun in the championship last year. They were free flowing, attacking, uh, tons of possession. I think they're going to be fun to watch. I think they are a team to watch out for. And the other team, I know my Arsenal heart is going to hate saying this, that we need to keep an eye on is Tottenham. They're
Okay.
not going to, challenge for Champions League or anything, but I love the move they made to go get Anye Postolic. I can't even pronounce his name from Celtic.
Postecoglou.
Postacoglu. He
They're going to play attacking football.
he is going to be a breath of fresh air from
Yeah.
Conte and Mourinho. I still think they have a ton of players, but I don't think very many of them are very good in the midfield. I love what they've done defensively in the transfer window, but they still don't have a ton of depth. But when that team clicks, and they won't be able to do it, this is my personal opinion. I don't think they'll be able to do it consistently, but there are going to be moments where they are clicking and they are going to be scoring a lot of goals. So for a neutral, if you just want to watch a team and be like, oh, that'd be interesting, don't become a fan of Tottenham. Let me be very clear. But watch them. They'll be fun to watch, I think, at times. But they're going to be one to watch.
I agree. I think they will play different football. They've been unwatchable, to be honest, for the 2 years that I have really watched. But I think they will play differently. I mean, for the sake of the league, I hope they still have Harry Kane at the end of August. I think
my friend Danny said it. It's tale as old as time. We're gonna come in and we're gonna have Harry Kane saga until the first day of the window, and he's gonna start off, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's distracted. His head is turned," and then he'll score like 25 goals, and it'll be whatever.
Well,
I mean, he's an elite talent, one of our own Arsenal Academy product.
That's right.
I'm just kidding.
No,
that's for my Tottenham fans out there. But
kind of true.
it'll be interesting to see what he does next year when he can move on a free.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Tottenham's gonna wait. I think he either signs a contract with Tottenham, which I think is a possibility, or maybe. I think ultimately by the end of August he's sold to Bayern, because Bayern's going to come back. Bayern's going to come back with another offer, and it might be the same offer, but I think Bayern's going to come back with another offer. But I think Kane either signs long term or he's gone. My surprise team, actually, my son stole it. I think Fulham stays up again.
Yeah.
And I think Fulham's solid. And I think one of the upsets of the summer is Marco Silva saying no to, what was it, 30 million euros to manage a team in the Saudi Pro League, to stay at Fulham?
Well, I mean, the Premier League, it's just, he
ain't making 30 million.
Money is nuts, but anywhere, unless you go into the Pro League, you're not going to make more money than in the Premier League. So
true,
but at what point do you have enough? Who knows?
Look at all these guys are doing. I mean, Jordan.
You can't blame anybody. I'm never going to blame anybody for picking up some extra cash.
Like I've said this before, if the public investment fund took a liking to sports radio, I'm just saying. All right, who's going down, Jay?
So the obvious one's Luton. Bless them, but I don't see it.
What was it, 9 years ago? They were playing in the National League.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible story. And the cool thing is they're just getting up. They get this wonderful system where they're going to get 3 years guaranteed of parachute payments from the Premier League if they go down. So I think it's a game changer for that club. It's going to be completely transformed. It's awesome for them. Yep. But I just don't think they have enough to stay up. I was torn between a couple of clubs. There's about 4 in a bucket, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Wolves are going down. I just think that they are a mess.
We are so unoriginal.
They just haven't done anything, and now it looks like they're going to sell, like they're going to fire their manager or buy him
No, they
out.
didn't fire him. Julian
So
Lopetegui
he
walked
wants
away
out.
today.
Yeah.
No, he
So he
walked.
finally left. Okay,
He
I
just said,
was
"I'm out."
at work, so I knew they were looking at like buying him out or something. So I just think
No,
they're in a world of trouble, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Wolves as an NC State fan. But I think they are gone. And then it was a toss up between Forest, um, Sheffield, and Everton. But I just
Ooh,
think at the end of the day, I think Dyche is a interesting manager. I think
yeah,
he plays a style that is conducive to grinding out results, but that squad is not good enough. They've done
no,
really poor recruitment. They're getting worse. Um, they brought Danjuma and Ashley Young back. That's it
mm,
this summer from a team that squeaked out, staying up by the skin of their teeth. That doesn't
yeah.
show me any level of commitment, and it's going to be painful because they are one of the original, Premier League teams, one of the few that have never been relegated. But I think Everton are going down.
Oh, really? So you have Luton, Everton, and Wolves going down.
Yep.
My kid has Sheffield at the bottom, Wolves, and then Luton. I've got Luton at the bottom, Sheffield, and Wolves. So all three of us. Yeah, I feel bad. My wife's a Wolves fan because Robert Plant is a big.
Okay.
She has two Wolves shirts with Plant on the back. So
There
I
you
feel
go.
bad. But yeah, like Ruben Neves is playing in Saudi Arabia. They didn't bring anybody in. They weren't good last year. They can't score at all.
No.
So
And they sold their striker. I mean, who knows what Jimenez will be, but he's now at Fulham.
yeah,
So they've got nothing. So we'll see. They
it
brought
is
back Matt Doherty though, so who knows?
good for now. If there's a Chris Collins somewhere, you got something
Yeah.
going. Um,
Yep.
the I actually think. I mean, I don't think Everton's gonna. I think there's enough bad at the bottom of the Premier League. Bad is not the
There
right term,
is.
but
There's
there's
enough
enough
lack of
soft.
talent.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's enough soft there. I think Everton, mostly because they have Jordan Pickford. I don't think Everton's going to. I mean, this past year they almost went down, and you could argue that they should have. But I don't see it being an issue this year. But when some of the bigger, like when Leicester comes back, if Leeds ever gets their house in order, if some of these other clubs come back and can throw some money into their systems,
Yeah.
then Everton they better figure it out by then, because they're too good, they're too big of a club to be this bad. There's just no excuse. And I heard somebody today say that they thought West Ham would go down. I don't know.
I mean, West Ham haven't. They've sold a ton and they haven't bought a ton,
They
so it'll
haven't
be
done
really
it.
interesting. But
100 million pounds
boys,
burning a hole in their pocket.
yeah, 141 million between all their sales, but they bought nothing. So we'll see what
Well,
they do. I think
they're
they've
going to buy
got.
McGuire and McTominay.
Oh, golly, bail United out. That's the reason they're going to
What are we
finish
doing
fourth.
that?
United.
What are we doing that
But
for?
no, I just think Everton remind me a lot of Leicester last year. Kind of the same vibes coming off of them, and they've got all of the talent. They've got the right pieces. Like you look at Leicester last year, there's no reason they should have gone down with Madison and like
No.
that team. I mean, they've got solid players, but there's just not enough cohesion there, and they've been flirting with it. And it's the second year in a row this past year that they had a relegation fight. I don't know how many of those you can go through mentally.
Yeah,
Um, it
it's
just
tough.
takes a level of just grind that it's got to wear on you. So I just think I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong. I like Everton. I hope they stay up. But who would have predicted Forest stay up and Leicester go down last year?
All three promoted teams last year stayed up,
Stayed
right?
up. Yep. Fulham,
Bournemouth.
Sheffield, Bournemouth. Oh yeah, Sheffield came up this year, but yeah, Bournemouth, Forest.
Fulham and Forest. Yeah,
Fulham.
tremendous.
Yeah,
And
which
Fulham,
is great.
I think they finished 10th or they finished 11th. Fulham
Yeah,
was
they
just
played really good. Yeah,
tremendous. And Anthony Robinson, Jedi Robinson, got himself a new contract to stay at Fulham. So good for him. All right, let's close on this. We'll make picks. We'll go through the schedule. I won't give Jack's picks. We'll tell everybody later at some point because we're doing it odds style. We can need a sponsor.
You want to give
this,
them
Jack.
the full rundown of what we're doing this year?
Yeah. So we're going to pick every game, every match week, and matchups involving the Big Six are doubled. So the Big Six, of course, being City and United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham. If there's a matchup in the Big Six, no Newcastle, you don't count yet. And so if the matchup in the Big Six, they're doubled. Each one is going to be done using the odds, and all will be based on a wager of 100 if you're betting on an underdog or if it's plus money. And if it's minus money, you have to wager the minus in order to win 100. That's the way. It's just easier to keep track.
All units. Yep.
All units, yeah, not money, because frankly, who has the money to
No.
burn on this? All right, so let's start Friday. We are back at it. I can't believe it. August. I've been looking at August 11th since like June 1st. Burnley at home to City, and you knew this was going to happen. Even before they announced that, you knew this was going to happen. Burnley is plus 800. City is minus 330 to win. A draw is 475. What do you got?
You got City minus 330 away at Burnley.
Yeah,
I
got a draw.
Okay.
I think this is the only time City will drop points until like late September is right here. The opening schedule is so easy for City. All right, really the next match, the first match Saturday morning. Arsenal at the Etihad against Nottingham Forest. Nice opener for you.
Thank you.
Arsenal minus
about time.
Arsenal minus 425 at home. The draw is plus 550. Forest is plus 950.
So Forest. So Derby County is the worst season ever in the Premier League. They had 12 points in an entire season.
Ooh.
The only team with a worse away record than Derby County was Forest last year. I'm taking Arsenal minus 425.
So am I.
They won 7 points. 7 points away from home last year.
Gosh, I never bet favorites. But yeah, Arsenal minus 425 for me too. All right, Bournemouth and West Ham. Was Bournemouth? I'm drawing a blank. I'm a bad
plus 170.
Well, no, I was like want the home ground. It's like it's not City ground. That's Forest, I believe. Bournemouth plus 170 at home. West Ham plus 160. It's basically a pick'em game. Plus 235 is a draw. What say you?
I will take Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium.
There you go, at Vitality. I got a draw plus 235. Right. Brighton at the Amex. Minus 330 against Luton Town, plus 800, plus 475 on a draw.
It's again, that's a tough ask for a Luton Town coming into a well-oiled machine. Brighton minus 330 at home.
They should have let Luton open up at home and let like an away team's fans try to walk through that whatever that alleyway is into their stadium. My
neighbor's house. Yeah.
How are we hosting Premier League matches there? It looks like it's in somebody's backyard.
That is awesome. To be that is the coolest thing. That's the one thing about never see that in America, but that is so cool.
That is just it'd be like going back to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. All right, I also have Brighton minus 330. All right, at Goodison Park, Everton plus 120, Fulham plus 225, a draws plus 245.
I got them going down. I'm going to stick with it. Fulham plus 225 away at Everton to win it.
I like Everton to start off well. I'll take Everton.
All right.
Give me the Toffees plus 120. All right,
Goodison's
Sheffield.
tough. Goodison's a tough place to play.
Yeah, and I
So,
look again. I'm kind of riding Pickford here. I want to see Onana be a better version of himself than he
yeah,
was a year ago. I mean, it's new. He's young. He's like a gazelle.
yeah,
Sheffield. Oh my God, he can be talented. I have no idea if he's all that.
I like him. I think he's
Yeah.
interesting.
So Sheffield plus 210. Crystal Palace on the road plus 145. Plus 215 for a draw.
I like Palace away to get the points at Sheffield.
So do I. I do. I like Palace. I can't believe Roy Hodgson still. They couldn't find anybody else.
This is the Palace give me very Jim Rutherford vibes. Like he likes to go back to the well.
Right. If
Like they're
Paul
bringing back
Maurice
Maurice.
was
Yeah.
90. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah. But we'll get to see U.S. men's national team defender Aaron Trusty now at Sheffield. So it'll be interesting to see how he does after making his move from Arsenal over there this summer.
It's a fair amount of. Well, actually, no. Most of the men's national team is over in Serie
Italy
A.
now.
But isn't Chris Richards at Villa, right?
Yeah, we got, and then like you said, Fulham's got a couple, and then Turner is
Yeah.
going to be. Turner just moved to Forest, so we'll get to that in a minute.
If they don't get Dean Henderson too, then I think we'll see Turner play a ton. All right,
playing us on Saturday.
That's right. St. James Park, Newcastle, and Villa, so to speak. Not so to speak. Here we go. Newcastle minus 135, plus 295 on a draw. Villa plus 350 on the road.
I got the draw between these two teams. I think they match up evenly against each other. Don't see a whole lot to get either side the win at this point.
I like Villa. I'm going Villa on the road to take all 3 points. All right, at the VTech, Brentford plus what? GTech, not VTech, GTech. Brentford plus 180. Virginia Tech plus 180. Tottenham plus 140 on the road, plus 260 is a draw. Who does Ivan Toney have in this match?
Oh gosh, I hope he's got Brentford, but I've got the draw. So I've got a draw here at between Tottenham and Brentford. I think there's going to be some gaps to be exploited in Tottenham as they get acclimated to this new system, but they've got such a dynamic attack that they'll get a couple, and I think it'll be a 2-2. Fun game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'll be a fun match. I love watching Brentford play as well. All right, here it is. A double play for us right out of the chute. And this is one that has me incredibly nervous to the point of nausea. Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, plus 185. Liverpool, a favorite on the road, plus 140. A draw is 255.
What do you got?
There'll be goals, but I have a draw between Chelsea and Liverpool. We still don't. I mean, even if they brought in Romeo Lavia, Tyler Adams, and Barnrat, nobody's going to be able to play Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. So it's going to be, I think, Alexis McAllister at the 6, and Liverpool's going to try to outscore themselves. But ultimately, I think this match ends in a 2-2 draw. So I'll go with a draw plus 255.
I like that. I was leaning that way, but pull my Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend.
Right.
But I think that at home under Pochettino, there's some exciting talent at Chelsea. I have Chelsea winning that game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw or Liverpool won. I think this is a toss-up, but if we're betting units and we got to go build up a bank early, might as well pick a winner. I think Chelsea pull this one out. I really like Nicholas Jackson. I think with Nkunku's injury, he's going to start at center forward. He is a really, really interesting player, really dynamic attacking threat. A player that I'm a little bit annoyed that Chelsea got the smart signing. It's a player that can
Well,
play now, but also can grow, and will be really, really good under a manager like Pochettino, who can really develop forwards well. So that just gives me a little bit of pause. Liverpool's attack is amazing, but there's going to be holes in that midfield, and so I think Chelsea don't have a great midfield either. But there's not as much um, that I think that they have to lose. So I think they'll go for it a little bit more.
so I would any outcome of this match would not surprise me. I mean,
Yeah, it could go anyway. It's gonna be fun.
Jack's got Liverpool winning. I've got a draw. You've got Chelsea. And finally,
one of us will be right.
Yep, Monday. somebody is coming out ahead. All right, so on Monday it's United at Old Trafford minus 275 against Wolves. There's no way that Wolves is only plus 700 on the road now. I mean, to me, that's candy from a baby. Plus 425 is a draw. If United doesn't win this match, they might not finish in the top 10. It's an indication.
I don't know. I feel like you got to take this game off the books now. No, I'm kidding. I think,
my gosh.
But yeah, this is a no brainer. United minus 275. That line between now and Monday is only going to move. So we'll see how big it gets between now and then.
I couldn't convince you to do fantasy EPL with me and my two kids, but I understand why you don't want to root for players who are playing against your team. So that's fair. That's Jai Kumar. I'm Adam Gold. We're going to try and do this as often as we possibly can because, again, Jay created the monster. Blame him. Any parting words before we close shop?
Oh my days. I think it's going to be a fun season. Looking forward to doing this with you as much as we can. And we'll see where we go. Maybe we can get some Champions League action.
Oh,
and then,
definitely.
Once we get and we'll have to analyze every single moment Messi has, right? So we'll be a fun year, and then heading into the Euros soon. So it'll be good.
How about Charlotte? Is it Charlotte FC is playing at Inter Miami on Friday, correct?
Yeah, they got the replay, so it'll be interesting to see how badly Messi does them up. It's men versus boys when he's out there. Oh my gosh. So
does what he wants.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's having a good time doing it. I'm here for the show. I do not care. I have not really been all that interested or moved by Major League Soccer, but I will watch the best player maybe ever to do it.
Arguably.
Who's still having a good time. And I think he is. Hey, who's having a better life than DeAndre Yedlin?
Right.
I mean, how did that guy step into that? That is awesome.
That's
for
great
him.
for him. Yep.
What a tremendous thing we're watching. And he brought his friends. I mean, Jordi Alba's there, Sergio Busquets. It's great. It's all a good time.
It's a party.
Oh my God. It certainly looks like it. All right. We'll do it again very soon, sir. I thank you so much for pushing me. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Do it again.
Thank you.
Peace.
All right. Have a good one.